Did you know that in 2025, surveys show retirees are spending nearly 40% more time at home than they did just a decade ago? You'd think that extra time would bring comfort, but for many, it's done the opposite. Instead of peace, home has become a maze of closets too full to close, drawers that don't quite shut, and rooms that feel more like storage units than sanctuaries. Seniors across America confess that despite spending hours tidying up, they still walk into spaces that feel overwhelming, cluttered, and, worst of all, emotionally heavy. Maybe you felt it too. You look around your living room or kitchen and think, how did I end up with so much, and why does it still feel messy? That frustration, that invisible weight, is the quiet tax of clutter, and it's stealing energy, confidence, and even joy from daily life. But here's the good news: it doesn't have to stay that way. Because today, we're pulling back the curtain on 12 powerful declutter secrets every retiree needs to know in 2025. These aren't the same old tips you've heard 100 times. These are strategies built for the season of life you're in right now. Secrets that can restore peace, free up your space, and make your home feel like a place of dignity and comfort again. So before we dive in, take a second to hit like and subscribe, because the tools you're about to discover could help you reclaim your home and, more importantly, reclaim your sense of freedom. Meet Sylvia Rowland, 73, a retired postal worker from Michigan. For decades, she spent her days walking neighborhood streets, delivering letters and packages, often in the snow, rain, or blistering summer heat. Along the way, she developed a quirky tradition. Every time she visited a new state, she picked up a snow globe. Tiny glass domes filled with glittering flakes. New York's skyline, Arizona's red rocks, Florida's beaches. Over the years, her collection grew into dozens, then hundreds, each one carefully lined across shelves and tucked into cabinets. But when Sylvia retired, something shifted. With more time at home, she finally looked around and realized her house wasn't overflowing with joy, it was overflowing with stuff. The snow globes she once adored now collected dust. Her closets were crammed with clothes she no longer wore, and her kitchen counters were cluttered with gadgets she hadn't touched in years. She confessed, "It felt like my home was holding on to me instead of me holding on to it." This wasn't just about clutter. For Sylvia, it was about feeling stuck, like her house was a museum of the past, leaving no space for the life she wanted to live now. She knew something had to change, but the thought of tackling decades of accumulation felt impossible. That's when she discovered 12 powerful declutter secrets, fresh, simple strategies designed for retirees like her. And these secrets didn't just clear her shelves, they gave her back her peace of mind. So let's walk through them together, because what freed Sylvia's home might just free yours too. Secret number 1. The 5-minute exit rule. Sylvia's first breakthrough came with what she called the 5-minute exit rule. The idea is simple but powerful. Imagine there's an emergency and you only have 5 minutes to leave your home. What would you grab? Photos. Important papers. A favorite sweater. Maybe your medication. Now here's the hard truth. If an item doesn't make that 5-minute list, it may not be as essential as you think. For years, Sylvia kept boxes of keepsakes stacked in her basement. Old party decorations, unused kitchen gadgets, and clothes she hadn't worn in decades. She told herself they mattered, but when she pictured an actual emergency, not a single one of those items made her mental checklist. What did? Her granddaughter's photo album, her medical folder, and a cross necklace she wore every day. Everything else suddenly felt less urgent. Here's why this matters for seniors. Clutter isn't just about space, it's about safety and peace of mind. In emergencies, whether it's a storm, a fire, or even a medical rush, navigating around piles of just-in-case items can literally slow you down. Studies show that cluttered homes increase stress and can even make seniors feel less secure. The 5-minute exit rule flips the script, forcing you to see what truly deserves a place in your life. Sylvia took the challenge. She sat in her living room and made her list. If she only had 5 minutes, what would she take? Once she wrote it down, she realized most of her clutter wouldn't even cross her mind in a crisis. That realization was freeing. She started letting go of boxes that once felt untouchable. Her words were simple but striking. If I wouldn't take it with me in an emergency, why am I letting it weigh me down every single day? So here's a question for you. If you had 5 minutes to leave, what would you grab first? Secret number 2. Digital before physical. Sylvia's second breakthrough came when she faced the mountain of paper in her home. Recipes clipped from magazines, folders of old tax returns, letters from friends, and hundreds of printed photos. At first, she resisted. "These are my memories," she told herself. But then she realized the memories weren't in the stacks of paper. They were in the words, the images, and the feelings they held. And in 2025, there's a way to keep all of that without drowning in clutter: digitizing. Today, there are free apps that let you scan recipes, photos, and documents right from your phone. Sylvia's granddaughter showed her how simple it was. Within minutes, an entire showbox of recipes lived safely in her tablet, neatly organized and easy to find. She laughed, saying, "I can finally stop digging through binders just to find Grandma's cornbread recipe." The beauty of going digital is that you don't lose the memory, you preserve it. And for seniors, there's an extra layer of relief. Digital files are lighter, safer, and easier to share. No more worrying about papers getting lost in a move or photos yellowing over time. Sylvia even made a digital album of her husband's old letters, which she shared with her children and grandchildren. For the first time in years, those memories were being enjoyed, not buried. And here's the bonus: reducing paper clutter has a real effect on your energy. Neuroscientists say visual clutter increases stress, especially in seniors who spend more time at home. By digitizing, you're not just organizing, you're giving your brain room to rest. Sylvia's words say it all: letting go of the paper didn't erase my past. It gave me the freedom to enjoy it without being buried under it. So here's your challenge: pick one drawer of papers or one album of photos, and try digitizing it this week. You might be surprised how much lighter you feel. Secret number 3. The energy audit. Sylvia's third secret wasn't about closets or papers, it was about energy. She realized that every single item in her home either gave her energy or drained it. So she started asking herself one simple question: does this item lift me up or does it wear me down? At first, she thought it sounded silly. But then she noticed the difference. The cozy armchair where she read her favorite mystery novels. That gave her energy. The quilt her mother had sewn, which still brought her comfort. That lifted her spirits. But the exercise bike gathering dust in the corner. Every time she walked by, it whispered failure. The stack of unopened mail on her kitchen counter. It drained her before she even touched it. Science backs this up. Psychologists call it visual noise: too many objects competing for your attention, even when you're not actively using them. And studies show that clutter increases cortisol levels, the stress hormone, which can make you feel physically more tired. For seniors, this matters even more, because energy is precious. When your home constantly drains you, you end up with less stamina for the things you actually want to do, like playing with your grandkids, cooking a favorite meal, or enjoying a walk outside. Sylvia's energy audit changed the way she looked at her home. She stood in each room and paid attention to how her body felt. If she sighed or slumped, she knew the item was draining her. If she smiled or felt at ease, she kept it. Slowly, her home shifted, not just visually, but emotionally. She said, "For the first time, my house stopped nagging me. It started supporting me." So here's your challenge. Walk into one room today and notice how it makes you feel. If something drains your energy every time you see it, maybe it's time to let it go. Secret number 4. The retirement reset box. Sylvia's next discovery was what she called her retirement reset box. The rule is simple: whenever you're not sure whether to keep an item, don't agonize over it, just place it in the box. Seal it, mark the date, and set it aside. If, after 90 days, you haven't opened the box or reached for the item inside, that's your answer: it's time to let it go. For Sylvia, the box became a way to ease the guilt of letting go. Instead of saying goodbye immediately, she gave herself permission to pause the decision. One of the first things she placed inside was her knitting supplies. Years ago, she had bought yarn in every shade of blue, imagining blankets and scarves she would create. But arthritis in her hands made knitting painful, and the supplies sat untouched for years. Still, she couldn't quite throw them out. So she placed them in her retirement reset box. 90 days later, she opened the closet where the box sat today. She realized she hadn't once thought about knitting. The truth hit her gently but clearly. She had loved the idea of knitting, but not the reality of it anymore. She donated the yarn to a local craft club at a senior center and felt lighter than she had in years. It wasn't failure, she said. It was freeing myself from a dream that no longer fit. The retirement reset box works because it takes away the fear of regret. You don't have to decide on the spot, but you also don't give clutter unlimited permission to stay. It's a safety net for your heart as well as your home. So here's a question for you. What's sitting in your house right now that you're unsure about? Would you be willing to give it a 90-day test? Secret number 5. The 2 generations test. Sylvia's next breakthrough came when she started thinking not just about herself, but about her family. She called it the 2 generations test. The rule is simple. Whenever you're deciding whether to keep something, ask yourself, would my children or grandchildren actually want this item? If the answer is no, then holding on to it may be less about legacy and more about fear. Like many retirees, Sylvia had closets filled with boxes labeled for the kids someday. Old yearbooks, faded scarves, stacks of greeting cards, and even her husband's work tools from the 1970s. She assumed her children would treasure them. But one afternoon, she asked her daughter directly. The answer surprised her. "Mom, I love your memories, but I don't need every object to remember you by." That conversation shifted everything. Sylvia realized she wasn't just keeping clutter, she was unintentionally passing down a future burden. A study in 2024 revealed that more than half of adult children feel overwhelmed when asked to sort through their parents' belongings. What feels sentimental to one generation often feels like pressure to the next. So Sylvia began sorting through her someday boxes with fresh eyes. She kept a few treasures she knew her family would truly value: her wedding album, her favorite snow globe, a handwritten recipe book. The rest she donated or recycled. Her words were powerful. "I realized the best gift I can give my kids isn't stuff. It's freedom from the weight of sorting through things they never asked for." Decluttering through the lens of family isn't about erasing your story, it's about refining it. It's choosing the objects that tell your story best, without drowning the people you love in boxes of guilt. So here's a question for you. If your grandchildren opened your storage closet tomorrow, what would they keep, and what would they quietly throw away? Secret number 6. The seasonal switch. Sylvia's 6th secret came to her while she was unpacking a box of heavy winter coats in the middle of spring. She hadn't worn most of them in years, but still, she kept them just in case. That's when she created her rule: if I haven't used it in the past year's seasons, it doesn't earn a place in my home. This seasonal switch is especially powerful in 2025 because more retirees are downsizing, not just their homes, but their budgets. Rising utility bills and storage costs are making clutter more expensive than ever. Sylvia noticed she was paying higher heating costs just to keep closets stuffed with clothes she didn't wear and boxes she didn't touch. By letting go, she wasn't just freeing space, she was lowering her expenses and creating an easier home to maintain. Here's the beauty of this rule: it's objective. Instead of debating whether you might wear that coat again or use that patio chair someday, you simply look back. Did you use it this season? Last season? If not, that's your answer. For Sylvia, this meant saying goodbye to 3 heavy coats, 2 pairs of snow boots, and stacks of summer blouses she hadn't worn in years. She donated them to a local shelter, knowing they'd serve someone else right now instead of gathering dust. She admitted something emotional, too. "When I held on to things I never used, it made me feel stuck in the past. But when I let them go, I felt like I was stepping into the season I was actually living in." The seasonal switch helps retirees stay present. Life isn't about preparing for every possible what-if season. It's about embracing the one you're in. And by releasing the items you no longer use, you're not losing security. You're gaining peace, clarity, and even financial relief. So here's a challenge: open your closet and ask, what did I actually wear this year? The rest may be ready to move on. Secret number 7. Trade stuff for experiences. Sylvia's 7th secret was one that surprised even her. She realized her clutter wasn't just taking up space, It was holding hidden value. The china set she never used, the exercise equipment gathering dust, even the extra snow globes that no longer fit on her shelves, all of it could be turned into something better. So she began selling and donating, but with a twist. She made a promise that any money she earned would go directly toward experiences, not more stuff. The first time she sold an item was bittersweet. She let go of an antique lamp she had inherited but never truly liked. The $60 she earned. She used it to buy tickets to a local art show with her granddaughter. The joy of that night, the laughter, the shared memories, was worth far more than a lamp sitting unused in the corner. Psychologists call this the experience dividend. Studies consistently show that experiences bring longer-lasting happiness than possessions. For retirees, this is especially powerful. A clutter-free home means less stress, but trading items for experiences adds a new layer of joy, whether it's funding a trip, joining a painting class, or simply taking the family out for dinner. Sylvia admitted, "Every time I let go of an item, I asked myself, what memory can I create instead? And slowly, my home stopped being about things I never touched and became about stories I'll never forget." Here's the emotional truth. Clutter can become a ticket to something better. Every box in your attic, every gadget in your kitchen, could be exchanged for a moment that lights you up. In 2025, with online marketplaces and local donation programs easier than ever, this secret has become one of the simplest ways to transform your life. So here's a challenge. Pick one unused item this week, sell or donate it, and use the value to create a new memory. Don't just declutter your house, enrich your life. Secret number 8. The one-room oasis. Sylvia's 8th secret may be the most comforting of all, the one-room oasis. Instead of trying to conquer her entire house at once, she chose a single space, a corner she loved but hadn't truly enjoyed in years, and turned it into a sanctuary. For Sylvia, that space was her reading nook. It had once been her favorite spot, tucked near the window with just the right light for a cup of tea and a good mystery novel. But over time, it became a dumping ground. Piles of unopened mail, old magazines, and boxes she never got around to sorting. The clutter smothered the peace she once felt there. One afternoon, Sylvia decided enough was enough. She cleared every pile, recycled old papers, and donated a stack of books she knew she'd never read again. She added a soft throw blanket, a small plant, and a lamp her granddaughter had gifted her. When she sat down that evening, she described it as breathing fresh air for the first time in years. The beauty of the one-room oasis is that it proves something powerful. Peace doesn't come from a perfect house, it comes from having at least one place that feels safe and calming. Psychologists call this a restorative environment, a space where your brain can relax, recharge, and let go of stress. For retirees who spend more time at home, having a sanctuary isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for emotional health. Sylvia said it best, "I may not have decluttered my whole house yet, but every time I step into my corner, I remember why I'm doing this." So here's a challenge for you. Choose one space, a chair, a desk, or even just a shelf, and make it your oasis this week. Clear it, refresh it, and let it remind you what peace feels like. Secret number 9. The 2025 donation shift. Sylvia's 9th secret was made possible by something unique to 2025, the donation shift. In the past, giving things away meant hauling boxes to a thrift store, asking family for help, or loading up the car, a chore many seniors avoided. But today, things have changed. Across the country, charities and non-profits now offer free doorstep pickups. With a quick phone call or a few clicks on a website, a van shows up, collects your donations, and delivers them straight to people who need them. For Sylvia, this was a game changer. She had closets full of coats, unused linens, and even those extra snow globes she finally decided to part with. The thought of lugging them to town made her put it off for years. But when she scheduled her first pickup, she said it felt like a burden lifting from her shoulders. She didn't just clear space, she felt the satisfaction of knowing her items were going directly to families, shelters, and community centers. The emotional power of this shift is huge. Seniors often hold onto items because they can't bear the idea of them being wasted. But knowing your clutter is turning into someone else's comfort changes everything. Sylvia admitted she felt a deep joy when she learned her donated blankets were being given to single mothers in need. "I wasn't just decluttering," she said. "I was blessing someone else's life." And here's what makes this even better in 2025. Some charities now text or email you updates, letting you know exactly where your donations went. Imagine the peace of knowing that coat you no longer wear is warming a child this winter. So here's your challenge. Instead of dreading the donation process, explore the services now at your fingertips. Decluttering becomes easier, and far more meaningful, when you know your things are headed straight to good use. Secret number 10. Stop saving for good. Sylvia's 10th secret was both simple and life-changing. Stop saving for good. For decades, she had a cabinet full of china dishes that only came out on holidays, a stack of embroidered linens tucked away for company, and a beautiful cashmere sweater she rarely wore. Like many retirees, she believed these things were too nice to use on ordinary days. But here's the truth she finally discovered. In retirement, every day is a special occasion. One afternoon, Sylvia pulled out her china plates and asked herself, if not now, when? She realized waiting for rare moments meant she was spending the majority of her life surrounded by ordinary while the best things gathered dust. That thought hit her hard, especially after losing her husband. She said, "I don't want my daughter to find these things one day, still wrapped, wondering why I never let myself enjoy them." Psychologists call this the postponement trap. Seniors often delay joy, saving items for the right time, but research shows that daily rituals of beauty, using a favorite mug, wearing the special sweater, setting a lovely table, boost happiness and even reduce stress. In 2025, when so many seniors are re-evaluating what truly matters, this insight feels more urgent than ever. Sylvia began making tea in her fine china cups every Sunday morning. She laid out her best linens when her neighbor came for coffee. And she wore that cashmere sweater to the grocery store, just because. She laughed. "Turns out, the world didn't need an occasion, I did." The lesson is simple but powerful. Stop waiting. Life isn't about preserving things for a future that may never come. It's about using them now, while they can still bring joy. So here's your challenge. Pick one thing you've been saving for good, and use it this week. Celebrate the ordinary. It might just become the extraordinary. Secret number 11. The friend test. Sylvia's 11th secret struck her one Saturday morning as she stood in her living room. A friend had called, asking to drop by for coffee, and Sylvia's heart sank. Not because she didn't want to see her friend, but because she didn't want her friend to see her house. The cluttered mail pile on the table, the jacket stacked on a chair, the dust on her shelves, it all made her feel embarrassed. And that's when she created her personal rule, the friend test. Here's how it works. Look around your home and ask yourself, if a friend walked in right now, what space would I rush to hide? That's the next target for decluttering. Because often, clutter isn't just physical, it's social. It becomes a silent barrier that keeps seniors from inviting others in, hosting family, or even saying yes to last-minute visits. For Sylvia, it was her kitchen counter. She always kept it piled with unopened mail, old coupons, and half-used grocery bags. Every time her daughter came over, Sylvia found herself apologizing. One day she admitted, "It wasn't just the counter that was messy. It was my confidence." So she cleared it once and for all, donating unused gadgets, recycling the paper pile, and creating a clean, open space. The result? She stopped apologizing and started enjoying company again. She invited her neighbor over for tea without stress. She let her granddaughter bake cookies with her. No shame about the clutter. Psychologists confirm what Sylvia discovered. Clutter fuels shame, and shame isolates. But clearing even one small space can restore dignity and reopen the door to connection. So here's your challenge. Walk through your home as if a friend were arriving in 5 minutes. Whatever spot makes you cringe. That's your next project. Not for appearances, but for the freedom to welcome people back into your life. Secret number 12, the legacy lens. Sylvia's final and most profound secret was what she called the legacy lens. She realized decluttering wasn't just about creating space for herself, it was about shaping the story she would leave behind. So she began asking one powerful question, Does this item tell the story I want others to remember about me? This reframing changed everything. Instead of looking at her belongings as clutter or keepsakes, she saw them as pieces of her narrative. Did they reflect the values she lived by, kindness, creativity, love of family? Or were they just remnants of habit and hesitation? Her snow globe collection was the perfect example. For decades, she had gathered globes from every state she delivered mail to, filling shelves and boxes until they crowded her home. At first, she thought she had to keep them all. But when she applied the legacy lens, she realized the story wasn't in the number of globes, it was in the meaning behind them. So she kept one, her favorite, a sparkling Michigan globe that reminded her of home. The rest, she donated to a local elementary school, where children could use them in geography lessons and art projects. She said, "Instead of sitting forgotten on my shelves, they became part of someone else's learning and joy. That's a legacy I can feel proud of." This shift gave Sylvia peace. She no longer feared her children would be overwhelmed sorting through boxes after she was gone. Instead, she felt confident that what remained in her home reflected her true spirit. The legacy lens empowers seniors to live with intention. It turns decluttering from a chore into a gift, for yourself and for the generations who will carry your story forward. So here's a question for you. If someone walked through your home today, would your belongings tell the story you want to leave behind? If not, maybe it's time to edit the narrative. By the time Sylvia reached the end of her journey, her home looked different, but more importantly, it felt different. The weight of boxes, papers, and someday items was gone, replaced by air, light, and calm. She described it in her own words. Decluttering wasn't about loss. It was about giving myself back the freedom to live. And that's the truth every retiree deserves to hold on to. Decluttering isn't punishment, it's a path to dignity, energy, and peace of mind. It's about creating a space that reflects the person you are today, not just the person you used to be. Sylvia's story proves that with the right mindset and a few intentional steps, even decades of clutter can be transformed into clarity. Now, it's your turn. If Sylvia's story inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who deserves the same freedom. Imagine how many homes and lives could change if we stopped letting clutter weigh us down and started living lighter. And before you go, here's a little tease. Our next video will reveal the 10 hidden household habits that make seniors feel older than they are, and how to break free from them. You won't want to miss it, because these small changes could add years of energy and confidence back into your daily life. So stay tuned, and remember, your home should be a place of comfort, not a storage unit for the past. Start today, and reclaim your freedom.